Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure Ecomm business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Stephen Pope, and Norm Farrar. Today, I'm speaking with Afolabi Oyerokun, a co-founder of Hanu Worldwide, and we'll be talking a lot about what he would do differently if he were to start his Amazon business again, as well as how he has exited 3 different Amazon brands at this point. This episode is brought to you by Ecomm Breakthrough Consulting, where I help 7-figure companies grow to 8 figures and beyond. Listen, Afolabi, I started Hadley Designs back in 2015, and I grew it to an 8-figure brand in 7 years. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way that made the path of getting to 8 figures take a lot longer than it really needed to be. There were times where I really doubted whether it was my leadership abilities or whether we could grow our brand into a household name or whether our business could financially survive. I wish I would have had a guide or a mentor along the way that would have helped me overcome a lot of those obstacles and stumbling blocks that we ran into. If you've hit similar plateaus and you want to know the next steps to take your business to the next level, then go to ecommbreakthrough.com. That's Ecomm with 2 M's to learn more. And as a special bonus to my podcast listeners, this month I'm giving away one $10,000 comprehensive business strategy audit session at no cost. All you need to do is email me at josh@ecommbreakthrough.com and in your subject line say strategy audit and tell me why you should be selected for receiving this strategy audit this month. And don't worry, if you don't win this month, you'll be entered for future months to come. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Afolabi Oyerokun. He is the co-founder of Hanu Worldwide, an innovative product development, sourcing, and 3PL company based in Pennsylvania. Afolabi has always been passionate about finding things, haggling, and negotiating prices. His obsession with finding good quality products at bargain prices led him to help several 7- and 8-figure brands increase their profits and scale rapidly by buying smart from Asia and the US. He is behind the successful launches of several multi-million-dollar products on Amazon and other retail channels. An entrepreneur at heart, Afolabi owns and has sold a few 7-figure private label brands. He loves helping people design, develop, and manufacture innovative products. Welcome to the show, Afolabi.
Thank you, Josh. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Well, we're excited to hear your story, and you've had a lot of success on Amazon. You've exited some brands. You're continuing to start new brands as well. You have a lot of experience that I think our listeners are going to be excited to hear your story and to get some advice from you of what you would do differently and, you know, some of those stumbling blocks that you might have occurred to help other sellers kind of navigate around those obstacles that every Amazon seller faces. But Afolabi, why don't you get started by just kind of telling people your story and how you got into the world of Amazon and what led you to ultimately exiting 3 brands recently?
Well, thank you. I would say my story really started in 2001. I got out of college and I'm a very creative person. I like to design products. So I had designed some really cool shoes, very colorful sneakers. And I've been looking, I was looking for who can help me manufacture or who can help me, develop these shoes. And, eventually I was looking on the internet, those were days of dial-up internet. There was no broadband. There was nothing, So I was looking all over and finally some random guy just, replied me and said, "Hey, we like your shoes. We can help you design it." And he's from Taiwan. And I'm like, "Oh, wow, really?" He says, "But you have to come down here." I'm like, "Okay, all right, I can do that." So I flew to Taiwan to go meet him. Very, very nice guy, Mr. Johnson. And he looked at my designs. He's like, "Yeah, we can help you, do this and do that. Just explain to us what it is, how many sizes you want to make. Are you making men's and women's?" So I'm like, "Yeah, so I want to make men's and women's, So he's told me I was going to need like some molds. I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "Well, mold." And then he showed me the molds. I'm like, "Wow, okay." And then he broke it to me. It's like, for this mold, each size is $2,000. I was
Wow.
like, "What?"
Just starting out of college, right?
Yes. I'm like, "Where in the world am I going to get that?" I said, "Well, I can't cut the number of sizes I want to make, because he said size 6 is $2,000, size 7 is $2,000, 8 is $2,000.
Wow.
And I wanted to go to size 14 because I wear a size 13. So it's like, yeah, we got to make mold for both. So all my designs, I had to condense them into one. I'm like, I need to do only one kind of sole because the mold is for the bottom part of the shoes. So I said, okay, all right. Instead of making like gazillion number of molds, let me just concentrate on just one type of mold and just change the upper part." But anyway, so eventually we got the mold done, we got the prototype done, and it was time to manufacture. Remember, I didn't have any marketing experience. I didn't know where I was going to sell these shoes. I didn't know nothing. I was just so driven because, I was just so passionate about my designs. And he says, "Okay, well, the minimum order quantity is 1,500 pairs per color." Like, geez, we're making 6 colors or something. He's like, "Yep." At the end of the day, I had to make 7,512 pairs of shoes, stuff it into a 45-foot container, ship it all the way, to California to be stored at a warehouse. And now the journey began. How am I going to sell these shoes?
So you didn't know. So you loved, I guess, designing products then, correct? And you had this wild idea that, hey, I'm going to sell my own sneakers. And then you still didn't have a plan of how you were going to sell these sneakers then, correct?
No, nothing, no plan.
Okay, keep going.
So I was like, okay. My wife was helping me to do research and, now these are friends' money. I had to bankroll, finance this purchase, this manufacturing with friends' money.
Okay.
And, so I was, I was able to get some trade shows in New York and everything. So I went to trade shows, showed not a single order. I went everywhere. And it got to a point, Amazon reached out to us and say, "Hey, this looks like a really cool shoe. Do you want to come on our platform to start selling it?" I mean, those were the days they were trying to transition from just selling books into selling other products. And I'm like,
Okay.
Sure, I don't have anywhere else to sell these, I might as well try you out. And lo and behold, we started selling, but there was no FBA, so we had to fulfill by ourselves. I had to trust some guy in California to actually ship my goods out, who always took like 2-3 days before he even looked into his email or into his computer to see if I had an order or not. It was disastrous, But, we were selling, and it got to a point we started noticing that the returns rate was getting high. And we're like, why are people returning the shoes? We found out they were returning them to get a bigger size because those shoes run really small. Yeah, they run really small. It was a big problem. We still had some 7,000 pairs left,
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we going to do? Okay, can we put in the description of the listing that, shoe runs small, take a higher size or whatever.
Yeah.
We did that actually. And, but still, I just couldn't take the pain of people just returning and returning and returning them for a bigger size because it was costing us money every time we ship it to them. So I'm like, you know what, I have to cut my losses and just liquidate this inventory. So unfortunately, I had to liquidate it to some guy in Florida who went down and sold everything in Mexico or somewhere.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. So it was a tough time, but I'm happy I had to go through it, to learn and to just to be better.
And so you ended up then placing a new order then with the correct sizes, or no? You just kind of closed the business. Huh?
I just closed it. That was the end. That was 2002.
Okay.
In 2014, my best friend here in New York. I was living in New York then, and he was like, "Well, Afolabi, with your skills, you have you have some good sourcing skills. You know all the suppliers. You have product development skills. Why don't you let us go and sell on Amazon?" I'm like, "You kidding me? I just got out of Amazon several years ago. I'm not going back there again." It's like, no. It's different now. They now have FBA. They'll help you fulfill your products. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, what do you have to lose? Let's do it. So 2014, December, we got back into it and we started listing some product. And January 1, 2015, we made our first sale. I'm like, that's a good sign,
Yeah.
That's a good sign. So before you know it, we started introducing new products. We started designing new products. He would design some, I would design some, we'll put it on there. We started crushing it. We were growing so fast, more than we could handle. And that's the next disaster. Now we were experiencing success that we didn't prepare for. And man, it messed us up really, really bad because we just couldn't cope with so many times we would order products. The product would be sitting in our warehouse. We just didn't realize we had those products in there. We didn't even remember to launch the product. We ordered them.
Really?
They were sitting in the warehouse because we were so bogged down with all the little things, the logistics, the this, the that we couldn't really focus on the business to really grow it and to really do very well. So success could be a bad thing if you're not prepared for it or you don't know how to handle it. That's the lesson I learned in that part as well. So we started new brands. Until last year, we got an offer from a buyer who I believe is an aggregator. We sold the first one, and the process was smooth and good. And then we offered them this 2 more brands, and they said, yeah, we'll take them. So we sold them very well profitably. We were happy, but we learned a lot of things during the process of 2014 to 2022. We learned a lot, and I'm very happy I went through the whole process to get to where I am now.
Yeah, well, I love that you kind of initially cut your teeth at the very beginning, the early stages of Amazon. And it didn't go over well at all, right? I think that was probably a very negative experience for you. And
it was.
You kind of ran away from Amazon, obviously, for the next decade until your friend kind of convinced you to come back on. So I think what would be most interesting for our listeners to hear is if you can go back to 2015 and with all of your experience now, if you were to restart on Amazon, which I think that's what you're doing now, is you're creating some new brands and launching them on Amazon. What are some of those lessons, actionable takeaways that you can give to other sellers to say, hey, here are the challenges that we faced at different points in the business that I'm going to make sure that we don't go through these same challenges again in the future? If you wouldn't mind breaking some of those lessons learned for us, breaking that down.
I'm going to, if I were to start all over again, I'm also going to weave some stories and past experiences into it. So when somebody goes into Ecomm, you're starting your e-commerce or you're starting your Amazon business, sometimes we forget the reason why we started in the first place. we forget the reason why we quit our jobs and we went into e-commerce. For me, my main driver was freedom. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to control my time. I wanted to be able to be there for my family any day, anytime. I wanted to be able to take off. If I want to take off, I want to take off,
Yeah.
So you start this e-com business and you're married to it. You're waking up 3 a.m. in the morning. You're sleeping late at night. So eventually it defeats the purpose of why you started in the first place. So we found ourselves caught up in all those things. Me and my business partner, we will fight each other. Why are we running out of stock? I'm like, I didn't know that product was going to run out of stock. We didn't have good system in place, and we didn't have the freedom or anything. So going back now, looking back to where we came from to now, there are 3 things I'm going to do differently this time. First, I'm going to innovate. Second, I'm going to automate. Third, I'm going to have a lot of free time to think. Because for me, I believe that thinking time is a very creative time. I believe that your rest time is very important. People ask me, jokingly, maybe I'm speaking to Norm Farah, is my business partner at Honor. He picks up on me a lot. He's like, hey, Afolabi, what did you do this weekend? I'm like, no, I did nothing. I just sat on my couch and I was watching soccer all day. I was not doing nothing, Sometimes he calls me. I said, I'm on the field. Stop disturbing me. I'm on the field with my son. We're playing soccer here, please.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Freedom, time to spend time with your loved one is very important. So I'll make sure that this time I automate so that I can free up myself to do whatever I want whenever I wanted to do it. I don't want anything just pressuring me down all the time, because when I'm thinking, I'm creating things that are so valuable in my rest time.
Yeah.
I could be sitting on a lounge, on a recliner, and when you're relaxed, when your mind is at rest, so many creative ideas come to you, and you can look into your business and actually spot all the things you're doing wrong when you're in a relaxed mode,
Yeah. So your kind of 3 takeaways then, right? If you were to restart, would be to innovate, automate, and then have more time for thinking and just downtime in general, right?
Yes.
So, Afolabi, why don't you expand on each of those 3 things that you would do differently? Let's start with innovate first. What do you mean by innovating, and why is that an important lesson learned that you're going to make sure to implement going forward?
Great. So when we started back in 2014 on Amazon, I would say we started on a very good note, because myself and my partner, we are creative people. We love graphics. We love to design stuff. So so many categories, about 2 or 3 categories on Amazon now. We actually ruled those categories. We almost invented those categories, and everybody started copying us after 2 or 3 years. But we've made enough, so we didn't care. But it was innovation that made us different. Because our products were so unique. We designed it from scratch. We didn't copy anybody. We created them. We looked at what was in the market and we're like, we can do better than this. With some 2-3 hour worth of work, we'll create product that will sell $50,000 a month. We were so confident in our creative abilities. So going back again, we will create more, and we will even go so unique. And we will niche down to what's the easiest for us to do. So we'll niche down and we will go deep and then wide. So what do I mean by that? So let's say we started with garden signs, right? So we will create this garden sign, and come up with like one SKU in the garden sign.
Okay.
And it takes off and it's selling like crazy. And we're reading reviews and people are saying, oh, I love your signs. I wish it was double-sided. And I tell them, let's do double-sided. So we do double-sided. That means we're going deeper. We do double-sided. And then we read reviews like, yeah, I put the sign on my lawn and it just looks so small. I wish it was bigger. I have big lawns. Ding, ding, ding. Let's make it bigger, two-sided, bigger version, right? Well, I'm not, and then, I wish, I don't like that color, I wish it comes in another color. Then we're getting wider now. Like now let's break into so many colors. Let's give people what they want. It's probably SEO of life. People are already they're already telling you what they will buy, And so we will give it to them. We will do a lot of research and we will create more. So going back now to start all over again, we would really, really consciously niche down, create some really jaw-dropping designs. And as the designs take off, we'll keep going deeper into that niche instead of getting distracted by other things like, oh, everybody else is making money off of this one. No, we will completely, prevent ourselves from being distracted and just keep focusing on what's working and just outdoing ourselves by going deeper and giving the customer experience and then broadening it out. So that's what I mean by innovation. And one more thing in the innovation is one thing we forgot to do was we forgot to patent our ideas when we started. This time, I'm never going to make that mistake again. Once you innovate a product, you have to protect it with everything you've got. So this time, we create a product, we protect it before we even launch it.
What kind of patents are you talking about? Are you talking about utility patents or design patents, copyrights?
It would be, so we use three types. So we will use design patent. If it's a completely creative thing that doesn't exist at all, we'll add utility patent to it. But many people don't realize that copyrights are very strong. So when you talk about copyrights, everybody think, oh, I can copyright my listing, I can copyright my text. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. You can actually copyright the design of your product. You can do a 2D copyright and you can do a 3D sculpture copyright. And that will protect you. That Amazon respects that as much as patent. And copyright costs like $50 to do.
Yeah.
As opposed to patents that could lead you into, 5, 10,000 or even more. So we will use copyrights for 2D and 3D sculpture. That means we will do a 3D rendering of our products and we'll copyright the 3D rendering. We'll do a 2D version, which is the flat version design of our product. We will copyright that as well. And then we'll go into patent if it is worthy enough for utility patent, we'll do utility, but in most cases, it will be design patents.
Okay. Yeah, we previously had Rich Goldstein on the show, and him and I work together a lot on creating a lot of the design patents and copyrights for our own business. So yes, I completely agree with you. That is so important. We've started doing that in the last couple of years, and it makes all the difference because, as you know, as soon as you come up with a unique design, it's only a few months later that you'll have overseas competitors that are mimicking your exact same design.
Exactly.
They have no creativity whatsoever, and it's easy to shut them down only if you have a copyright or a design patent to protect it.
Correct. We had a product, a very simple product. It was a bumper sticker that we had in those days. And we were selling like 75 units a day. And then every factory was copying us. They just flooded the market with our design. And it dropped to like 10 or 20 a day. We were like, what's going on? So we did a research. We saw that there were about 50 or 60 people were copying us. And our sale could have been 100 or 150 a day if we didn't have all those people. So we filed a complaint. Thank God we had copyrighted the design. So we filed a complaint to Amazon. We said, this. We put in all the asyncs of everyone copying us. Within 24 hours, Amazon shut them down. Guess what? We went back from 10 a day to 200 units a day.
Wow.
It's a big difference.
That's a great case study.
Yeah, it's a big difference. So please, anybody, you want to create something. Number one, you should be creating something new. Don't try to do Me Too product. I'm very biased. I don't like Me Too product because you just don't have longevity in Me Too product. Why are you selling what everybody else is selling? Why can't you just create something new? If you have an idea, you can, direct message me, or, we can brainstorm ideas together. Create something that you can really, really sell. You don't have any asset selling, Me Too product. Like you said, Josh, your business is in your IP. If you don't have any IP, you don't have a business. That's what I learned in a hard way.
Yeah. So when you exited your brands, I'm wondering, did you have IP that you were giving them, and
Yes.
how important was that?
It was big. So there were two big things that made our brand made us sell at almost 5x. It was our IP protection, and some of our products in one of our brands. Most of our products, our best-selling products, was made in the U.S. And the buyer loved it. Like, I place an order, in a week it ships out, and it ships for free, direct to FBA. So they love that. They're like, no, this is a slam dunk for us, So those two things we had to transfer. So at closing, you have a reassignment of IP. So we had to, reassign our trademarks, our patents, our copyrights, and everything. We had to reassign it to the new owner.
Okay. Interesting. But that was something that was very interesting and appealing to them then, right?
Very.
You feel like you got extra, an extra multiple because of the intellectual property?
I believe so. Yes, I believe so, because they have a very strong brand presence. They have some of these products, the next seller to us is probably doing 20% of what we're doing. So, and it was because, we have this IP that if anybody tries to copy anything, we just shut them down. For that, they knew it was a good investment for them, and it's going to deliver on their books, to their shareholders.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Going back to, innovating products, I mean, that's what you say is so important, and it's the same for our business as well. I'm curious, where do you get your design inspiration where you aren't copying other people? So where do you see, how do you come up with designs that are trending or get ahead of the trends to make sure that you create something that customers actually want?
Awesome. So we have a very simple rule. We would research, we could use Data Dive. My business partner does that. We use Brenda Young's Data Drive or Helium 10 and stuff. It would find out what niches and what categories are doing so well. And we will look at all the designs. We're like, no, we could do better than this one, and then we could look into patterns as well and say, oh, what patterns are doing so good? So we will take the patterns that are doing good and the products that are doing good, and we'll marry the two together. Right. So we know these products are doing so good, but they're boring. They could take more, they could use more life, both in the product and in the packaging design, because we want to put the packaging, in our listing so that some people see them like, wow, that packaging alone. It's like buying a Apple product. The experience you see when you're opening the box of your iMac or whatever, we will design the packaging to be completely unique, that, so we get our inspiration from that. We look at what's selling, what's doing so well, and we go back to the drawing board and say, we could do a lot better than this because we're creative people. So we go and design, different variations of things, and we'll launch them and see which one does better. And we're like, oh, it looks like people like this ones most. We'll keep them. We'll scale those up, and the ones that are not doing so well, we keep them for a few months. And if they still never pick up, we'll just cancel them. I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll keep the ones that are doing good.
Do you add them as variations to your listing, or do you leave them as standalone ASINs to occupy more real estate on the search results page?
We keep them separate. We keep them separate because when we're doing product display ads and stuff like that, we want to spread, because some people don't really look at variations sometimes. It's not that variations are not good, but some people don't look at it that well. They don't look at, how Amazon displays them. So we would like to, especially if it's a design that is very unique, we don't want to put them together as under each one of them. Maybe by size, we can do variation by size. But when it comes to color or aesthetic or whatever, we like to keep them separate to take up more real estate.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That then kind of leads into the complexity of PPC management, though, right? Mm-hmm. When you're advertising when you have a product design where there are unique aspects to every single one, right? Mm-hmm. You're targeting the exact same keywords, right? If you're doing bumper stickers, you might have 10 different SKUs of bumper stickers with very different designs on them.
Correct.
So when you're doing that, how did you manage, the PPC campaigns where you're trying to promote 10 of the exact same product, granted different designs, but for the exact same keyword?
I wish I can answer that question, but that would be more of a question for my business partner because I have no clue how the PPC thing works. I learned it. I watched so many training. I'm like, this is such a hard thing, following through all these things. I know the concept because, when we're having meetings, it tells me what they do and everything, but I'm like, let's just automate this, outsource all these things. I don't want to burden my head with all the complexities because it keeps changing every time. So I wish I can answer that question, Josh, but I have no clue how we did it.
Fair enough. Well, it looks like we'll have to have your business partner on the podcast. So, Afolabi, I'm also curious, what type of products are you talking about here? Because you talked about a lot of design innovation and product packaging. Obviously, you started in shoes a long, long time ago, but it sounds like you were doing some stickers. What other types of products? Were they more stationary paper based or were they apparel based? If you could give us a little insight on those and maybe some examples of the packaging that you changed.
So we did a lot of crafts. One of our brands was specifically crafts. And everyone in the craft space at that time, they were selling almost the same product we're selling, but they'll put a white and black sticker and just stick it on the product, and that's it. But we went and designed a very, very elegant, like a big emblem. It was gold foil. We didn't spare any expense. It was like a gold foil. Now, the difference between the white and black sticker that everybody was putting on and our own sticker that we put on, because the product was shrink wrapped.
Okay.
The difference between the two is 12 cents. Now, it's not a significant amount, but it created a huge value.
Interesting.
In the eye of the shoppers, they're like, oh, this product has white and black label. Looks like somebody just slapped it on it. This one looks like a premium product, whereas we're getting it from the same supplier, right?
Yeah.
This one looks like premium product. Look at the packaging. Look at gold and silver foil around it. So we outsell everyone by almost 3 to 1 just because of that 12 cents.
And were you featuring that on your Amazon listing then? Is that what made the difference?
It made a difference, yeah. And then we discovered that everyone that used this product would also buy another accessory. We're like, let's just give this accessory for free. So we created that accessory and we put it into the product and it's for free. And that really make that sale go so high. The accessory cost us 15 cents, right? That we put into this product. And everybody for that, people just thought it was genius, But of course, everybody started copying us after that. But we had really, really gone far before people would realize what was going on.
Interesting. Those are some great examples. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, let's move into automating things. You talk about how that's one thing that you would change. What do you mean by automating things moving forward? And give us some examples.
So another thing I discovered as an Ecomm brand owner is many brand owners don't really know who they are. They don't know what type of Ecomm, what type of business person are you? Are you the manager, leader kind of person? Or are you the inventor, innovator, or creative person? Or are you the data-driven financial person? I see, I have, so many brands that we take care of, and it's so different. All the brand owners are so different and so unique. They have different personalities, different characters, different everything, right? Some of them will be like, I just want to make money. I could care less if I'm selling toasters. I just want to make money. That is the data-driven financial seller, right? But then I have these sellers like myself that I just want to create something new. I don't like managing people. I don't like managing anything. I just want to all day, I want to launch something and hand it over. So that's why I always call myself, Norm calls me the idea midwife. I like to listen to how people, I enjoy listening to people's ideas, like people's creative ideas, like innovations. I'm like, wow, let's bring it out together, So I'll say, let me help you give birth to that idea. That's the kind of person I am, right? So I'm more of a creative entrepreneur. I'm not a manager person. I'm not data driven. I don't look at data. My business partner is all data, and he's both data and innovative. And then we have the manager, leader kind of person who would enjoy having a team that, it can lead and everything like that. So if you know who you are, just focus on your strength and outsource the rest. That's my definition of automation. So now, starting all over again, we wouldn't touch PPC. We wouldn't touch listing optimization. We wouldn't touch ranking. We wouldn't touch all those things. We just want to create stuff. We'll create and we'll continue to create. We'll have time to think and create. Because for me, creating products is more of like I see my Amazon business more as a royalty kind of deal, whereby I work once and I get paid continuously. Yeah. My work is in creating something different, something unique, something fun. And after I'm done creating it, I don't want to see it again. I want to hand it off to a management product, a business developer kind of person who would take it on and say, oh, wow, we could sell a ton of this thing. I don't want to be involved in the marketing or the ranking strategy. I don't want to be involved in that. I just want to create it. I love the logistics side. I love the logistics side as well. So that's why we have our 3PL center. I enjoy that. Like I designed the whole 3PL center because of my creative side. I'm more architectural. So our 3PL center that we're building now, or constructing now, I designed it for 3PL. All the 3PL, warehouses you see, they're really a warehouse design. They're not optimized. So I'm shopping for robots. I'm shopping for automation technology to, from the time your product comes to our dock till it gets to the rack, how can I automate it? How can I save you money? Even before your product leaves China or India, wherever it is, I want to be able to start the automation from there. I want to be able to start saving you money from the time your product leaves your supplier's warehouse to come to my warehouse. I want it fully automated. That's the kind of person I am. So PPC, automate, outsource. Listing, outsource. Everything outsource. I'll only keep what I enjoy, so I can free up my time.
Yeah. So based on that, would you go to a completely outsourced like brand management, agency where they do PPC in-house and they manage your listings and all of that? Would you just choose one person and just work with that one agency? Or would you try to say, hey, this guy's the best at PPC, so I'm going to bring him in as our agency for PPC. This guy's really good at optimization strategies, so I'm going to bring in this agency. Or would you just try to simplify things and go with an all-in-one type of agency? And do you have any in mind that you would share with our listeners?
I would prefer to pick teams that only know how to do one thing very well.
Okay.
So for PPC, I'll pick a PPC team. Like, I discovered recently Trellis. Do you know Trellis?
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Trellis. They're PPC software, and they also have managed services.
Okay.
Norm introduced me to them, so I'll probably pick Trellis to do all the PPC work. And then I'll look for somebody that is really good in ranking strategies. And when I go to events, I meet all these companies, and I'll just take their card, and then we, talk to them, interview them to see how they do. And then Norm Farrar also has a company called Dragonfish. He likes branding and packaging and stuff like that. So for branding and packaging, he will probably do that. And then I'll go to somebody else that really knows how to do, like Vanessa, So Vanessa is into all the, tips and tricks in, solving problems or, Excel sheets and stuff like that. We use that. For inventory management, I'll pick So Stocked, by Chelsea. Yeah, because it's of all the software that I tried on inventory management, we had a lot of problems. We lost millions due to inventory management. So I take inventory management really seriously, right?
Yeah.
So for inventory management, I'll probably pick SoStock. I've been using it for a while. I love it. We actually have a SoStock management agency. We're approved by SoStock to manage, other brands' inventory. So because we know it so well. So we mastered it. We when Chelsea and Dan were building that software, I was able to, they asked me a lot of questions, contributions and stuff like, so I was able to look into the system to see how they were doing it, which was really super cool. So I would pick the best of everything and just outsource it like that. And just so I can have my free time to think and to do what I love doing best, which is creating things and the logistics side.
Would you hire somebody as like a general manager to then kind of be the person that's working with and managing everyone, all of those different agencies?
Correct. As an operations manager, so we'll have an operations manager that will work with all these teams to make sure everything is flowing on very well. We could do it at first until we find the perfect person that we can hand it over to. Yeah.
Awesome. Makes a lot of sense. Great insight. All right. Last thing, I know we're running up on time here, but that kind of coincides with what we want to talk about, which is time to think. So, tell us about, why that is so important and why that's something that you're going to change with your new business.
Well, because all my ideas come to me when I'm relaxed, when I'm at rest, when I'm running in the morning, people wonder why I like to run 5 miles, that's my me time. That's when I'm thinking, so anytime I'm running, I get an idea, I stop and I put a memo on my phone and I record the ideas on my phone and I continue to run. Or anytime, so I have this massage chair at home. I just sit on it for 20 minutes. When I'm doing that, I'm just thinking of things. One idea that you that comes to you, whether you're running or you're at a rest mode or whatever, that one single idea I found out can change the whole landscape of your business. And it's so simple, but when you're so busy with so many things, you don't even have time to think. You don't have time to do anything. You don't realize that you're here doing a $20 an hour job when you could have been sitting, relax, be composed, and you come up with $1 billion idea. Now, your $20 tasks are preventing you from thinking out the $1 million product or the $1 million service or the $1 million idea. See, so I see many of us are so burdened down with, I'm going to do it by myself because I want to save money. I'm going to do this. At the end of the day, you're really not saving money. You're losing money. You just don't know what. You just don't know yet how much money you're losing by not having your free time to think, spend time with your family. Like, a friend of mine came to my house and, he saw that I was cooking. And it's like, you love cooking? I say, yeah, cooking is my me time. Anytime I'm cooking, I'm doing stuff, in the house. It's just, my way of just thinking, freeing up my mind to just let my mind just run random. Just let it run,
Yeah.
Whichever way it wants to run, because at the end of the day, you could come up with some really, really cool stuff that you never know of.
I completely agree with how important it is to set aside like strategic thinking time, and to just have space, because I find myself, as well as our business has grown, getting busier and busier and more meetings and needing to work with this team member or this agency or whatever it is. And I can find that at the end of the day, all I've done is just sit on multiple meetings, and then I just do that day in and day out. But Correct. What I have found that is when I block off time on my calendars, and for me, it's Fridays, I love to have that space on Fridays where I can go through and read industry newsletters or, listen to podcasts or just be inspired by different ideas, or I learn about a new conference. And it's always been little changes or little shifts like that have been big mindset shifts that then change the trajectory of the business, or it's a relationship, or it's something new that I've learned. So I completely echo exactly what you said, how important it is to set aside strategic thinking time to allow those creative ideas to come to you without, forcing it upon yourself. So Afolabi, this has been a lot of fun. Before we kind of wrap things up with our final 3 questions, I love to leave our audience with 3 takeaways from each episode. So here are the 3 kind of takeaways that I've jotted down from this episode. Let me know if you think I'm missing something, Afolabi. So number 1 is don't create Me Too products. The way that you are going to succeed on Amazon and e-commerce in general in the future and today is by innovating, looking at what is not currently on those platforms and bringing something new to the market. So let's say you're a business owner and you're not the creative person. For myself, I am not a graphic designer. My wife is. She's very creative. But what I can do is I can go partner with those people that are very creative, because there are starving creative people out there that, just like yourself, they just love the thrill of creating things. So it's partnering with them and saying, hey, create something brand new, wild, even outlandish. And we found a good market opportunity. Let's just see what sticks. And I think typically you probably have a lot of experience. Some designs take off where you don't expect them to, and other designs don't. And like you said, you just kind of retire the ones that never get legs underneath them. But if you're not constantly innovating and bringing new ideas and new products to the table, your business will slowly just start to, disintegrate over time.
Yep. Action 100%.
Good. Action item number 2 is automating your business. And this is going to look different for every different type of business owner. And I think you said that very eloquently, where you first have to understand, like, what are the strengths that you're bringing to the table? If you are the person that loves data and digging in and optimizing PPC and optimizing your listings, then go create a team, right, where you're training them and you've created processes for your own internal team to go and do that. If you're not, and you're the product guy, then you go find partners that are experts in those particular fields and bring them in, put together a general manager or an operations manager that can then manage those agencies that you're working with. But most importantly, like, you do have to think through the operations of the business. And even as a creative, you have to spend time up front in establishing those relationships, establishing those partnerships with agencies or with team members that you're going to bring in. But that is so vital. And then last but not least is setting that time aside to have strategic thinking. I think any entrepreneur, no matter what stage you're in, if you want to take your business to the next level, you want to go to 8 figures and beyond, it's not about how much you are working in a day, right? I think many of us are guilty of doing $20 an hour tasks that we just keep doing because we're too lazy to create the SOPs and give it over to a virtual assistant, or we are, claim that we are too busy to, document the process in general. And so that is something that every entrepreneur and every stage of entrepreneurship, right? You might be working on $20 an hour tasks. Eventually, you may be working on $200 an hour tasks, and you may be saying, wow, if I hire this type, I need like a CMO, a chief marketing officer. Okay, they're $200 an hour. If that's the case, then you need to understand that you're probably bringing $1,000, $2,000 an hour to the table. And so when you learn how much value you're bringing to the business, then it becomes easier to say, oh, you know what? My time is actually at $1,000, $2,000 an hour. Maybe I should be justifying spending the $200 an hour. It is expensive, right? And that is a big salary to pay somebody, but that's freeing you up to do more $1,000, $10,000 an hour work.
Correct.
That you would otherwise not be doing. And this isn't something that you change overnight, but it's something that you slowly scale into. And as your business grows, you'll get more experience doing that and feel more comfortable saying, okay, right? I think all of us now are very comfortable with, like, I can go hire a VA. I understand that process. That mindset shifts when you're like, I need to go hire a 6-figure salary person to take this over. You're like, ooh, that's a lot of money. But at the end of the day, you have more to give than that. So Correct. That's kind of my takeaways and action items for our audience. Would you agree? Do you think I missed anything here?
No, you said it perfectly. Perfectly. That was good.
Awesome. All right, Afolabi. Well, let's dive into our final 3 questions here. So tell me about what's been the most influential book that you've read and why?
I would say the one book that really changed my way of thinking, I was in college and the book came out. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And a friend gave it to me and I just couldn't stop reading. I was like, what? Am I reading this right? The lessons the rich, teach their kids that the poor and the middle class people don't. Especially how it says that you have to create passive income. You have to let your money make the money for you instead of, trying to make money with your own strength or with your limited hours and strength. Why don't you put money on steroids and let the money do the job for you? That was like, wow. I was in college. I was like, I wanted to almost stop everything I was doing to go find something that I could do to have passive income. So that would be my number one. It's still my number one. I've probably bought 20, 30 copies and given it away to a lot of people. So I would say that would be number one.
Awesome. I love that. I highly recommend that book as well. It's a good mindset shift if you haven't read that before in the way that you approach, what is a true asset that's producing money for you. Second question, what is your favorite software tool that you've been using in your business, or maybe it's a new software tool that you've discovered that you think other people should be utilizing?
Well, I would say two softwares would tie into that because now over the past year, I've been compiling all my experiences into a course. People have been asking me, when are you going to really, really teach people how you get the best deals out of suppliers in China, all over the world? How do you find your suppliers? So I created a sourcing course. It's called Sourcing Mastery. It's going to be coming out in January. I found Kajabi. It was very simple to use. I really like it. I really, really like it. So it's my favorite software now because of simplicity and what you could do, how you could create one product, and you could reach a lot of people from that single platform. And it ties in with ClickFunnels because, ClickFunnels is almost like Kajabi, but on steroids,
Yeah.
So I'll tie both of them together as two of my favorite software. They do the same thing, but ClickFunnels just takes it a little step further.
Awesome. I love that. Great softwares. All right. Last question is, who is somebody that you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space that other people should be following, and why?
I think I like Russell Brunson a lot because of how he was able to narrow down and niche down to just the idea of funnels. Like, where did that come from? Like, it's been out there, but he was able to make it popular. He was able to make people see what you could do with one product. In the Amazon world, the Ecomm world, everybody wants to sell many SKUs, but in the funnel world, they want to teach you how to sell one. Can you maximize one thing? So I really I listen to him a lot. I really like how he's so persistent in marketing, how he would do everything he can to just make you buy stuff. I think he's a really cool dude. I enjoy listening to him.
Awesome. Yeah, Russell Brunson is very good. A follow-up question I do have is, have you implemented ClickFunnels with any of your Amazon businesses or the products that you've sold there? No. We tried. There was a funnel template they built for e-commerce back in the day. I think we tried it. At that time, I wasn't so sure if it worked. I think it was for review generating or something that they built a template for. We didn't use it extensively, so I'm not sure if I can say we really tried it because we really didn't use it extensively. We were so busy killing fires, that we couldn't even stop and really, really look into other really cool tools that we could use to push a button and you keep generating passive income. We were too busy, at that time. Fair enough. Well, Afolabi, thank you so much for all of your great knowledge. You have a lot of exciting stuff going on. I think you have a gift for our listeners as well. Why don't you tell us about, your 3PL business that you have? And your offer for that to our listeners, as well as I think that sourcing mastery course is very interesting. So tell us about all the fun things that people should be paying attention to and where you want them to follow you.
Awesome. So we have about almost 100 customers that we do end-to-end supply chain management for. Supply chain is two words that most Amazon sellers don't understand. even any e-commerce sellers, they just don't understand the word supply chain. They know inventory, they know logistics a little bit, but supply chain just means from the very beginning of your journey of your product to the very end, when it gets to the customer's hands. That is my definition of supply chain. So how can you save money and maximize profit across the whole supply chain? So that's what we're focusing on now at Honu, to help brands look into their supply chain and say, well, you're losing money here, 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 and here, and here. We could do it better this way, this way, this way, this way. If we do this and this and this, you will be able to make more money. And another big part of it is the tariff terminator, which we're going to give to the listeners, a very good discount to the listeners. Is I do have a lot of, maybe a recent story about a month ago. A friend of mine in Mexico reached out to me. It's like, oh, we want to bring in some electronic products, and our duty is 30%. I'm like, wait, 30% for duty? He says, yeah. That's what our forwarders told us. I'm like, send me that product. Let me see. So he sent me the product. I'm like, I sent it to my team in China. I said, hey, Kathleen, help me take a look at this product. What is the tariff rate on this product? So Kathleen did a research. It's a very complex. You have to be very good in Mandarin and Cantonese and English at the same time to be able to reclassify, to be able to know the exact tariff code your product should have. So she looked at it and she's like, no, this is a 7% tariff product. So I sent it back to my friend. I'm like, your product is not 30%, it's 7%. That's a huge savings. Oh, yeah. Just on one single order, he was probably able to save like $20,000 in tariff alone. So those are the things we put into our supply chain, management service for brands. And now on our 3PL location, so we have a location here in Pennsylvania, and we are going into a ultra modern. I'm going to send you a photo of our rendering of our 3PL center we're going to move into Q1 next year. It is amazing. So I designed that center because I found out that the flow, the way a warehouse flows, would determine if you're able to save your customers money in their supply chain or not. So the flow that most warehouse has is not optimized. So therefore, a lot of products either go missing, or a lot of products just take a lot of time to prep and to send out. An average 3PL could spend 5 to 2 weeks before they send your products out, from the time you send in the request to the time they actually send it out. The problem is because their system, the warehouse is not optimized, it's not designed really for an Amazon business. So when we redesign the flow of things, now we're able to get our products in like sometimes less than 24 hours, sometimes in 3 hours. Like 3 hours from the time we get a request to ship out products, they actually go out within 3 hours. Some of them, if it's a lot, we can say, oh, give us 24 hours, it will go out, because of the flow of things. And the new building we're going into that is super optimized. I'm so excited because we're going to be using automatic conveyors. We're going to be using automatic wrappers, palletizers, and from the stack it is so cool. And we're looking into robotic hands to palletize and everything like that, so that we can pass on the savings to our customers. So those are the things we have going on. And then we can talk about the offers we have for all the listeners today.
Awesome. Let's talk about the offer then, because you've got, so number one, Afolabi, I think that we're going to need to bring you back on another episode, and we will talk all things supply chain, 3PL, because we could spend another hour just talking about that. So I think that's going to be my next request, is let's schedule another time, because you have so much experience here, and this is such a pain point for most sellers. that it's amazing. So you offer a lot of great services. I highly recommend you guys reach out to Afolabi. But why don't you go ahead and share your offer with our listeners?
So the number one offer will be our tariff terminator service. We have a lot of success, which means we would help you look into your products, how much you're paying for tariff now, and we will find ways to help you reclassify your HTS code so that we can bring your tariff rate lower. Let me give you an example of how that works. So let's say you're selling, so Josh, you're selling a photo album, and you want to bring your photo album into the US, and your China supplier gives you an HS code. But in order to bring it into the US, you need an HTS code, right? China gives you HS code, but you need to interpret and convert it into an HTS code. So your supplier just does some, quick conversion and say, oh, this is your HTS code. You're going to be paying 35% tariff. Mm-hmm. In most cases, 9 out of 10 times they're wrong. So we will take the HS code and look at your product listing. We'll read every part of your product listing. We want to know what that product is, what you're going to use it for. So we take your photo album and say, Josh, your product actually qualifies as a photo journal. And then it qualifies as a baby book. Mm-hmm. And then it qualifies as a toy because maybe it has a little song, like a little, singing voice or singing audio, something into it. So which HTS code are you going to pick? Are you going to pick the one for journal, photo album, toy, educational? They all qualify. Yep. The product qualifies for all of them. So we look at all these things and say, okay, for photo album, it's 3% tariff. For a baby book, it's 17% tariff. For, whatever else you're calling it is 32%. Of course, we'll go for the 3% one because we can defend it in customs. When we're bringing it into the country, we would defend it because that's exactly what you could argue that my product is actually that. Yeah. So that's one of the offers we want to do it. We usually do it at $397 for each product. But for your listeners, for the first time, we will offer it at $197 per product. This single service has been saving some people. In my own brands, before I sold that brand, we were spending about maybe $1 million or more on inventory just to buy the inventory. Yeah. And we were able to reduce our tariff from 25% to maybe 12 or 7%. That's a huge number. For $1 million, you're spending $1 million on inventory and you're saving 12% in tariff. That's $120,000 in savings every single year. And it only cost you $197 to do the reclassification, right? So that's a big deal offer that we're offering all the listeners today.
I love it. Afolabi, what a generous offer. And also something that people should be paying attention to and a great way for them to save money as well. So yes. I definitely encourage you guys to reach out. So how do they take advantage? Where can they reach out to you to claim this offer?
So they should just, send an email to savings at Honor Worldwide and say, they listen to, Ecomm Breakthrough, podcast with the $197 offer. We would honor it. It's just simple like that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Afolabi, thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to having you back on the show, talk more about supply chain down the road. But welcome. Thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Josh. I really had a great time.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecommbreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.